Eleanor Mitchell passed away in her sleep at the age of 87. The town of Nottingham, Vermont remembered her as a sweet old woman who wore knitted shawls and baked ginger cookies for the neighborhood kids. But for her family, her death marked the start of a war. Eleanor was a widow who lived modestly in a cottage on the edge of town. Everyone assumed she didn't have much. She rarely traveled, never flaunted money, and owned nothing fancy. But what no one knew, until her passing, was that she had quietly accumulated over $4 million in real estate and savings. And the will? It was sealed. Her 3 children, Linda, Martin, and Joel, arrived at the lawyer's office expecting a fair split. They weren't poor, but each had debts and desires. Linda wanted to retire early. Martin had business loans. Joel's wife had just given birth, and a new house was top of their list. But when the will was read, silence filled the room. Eleanor had left everything, every dollar, every deed, every asset, not to her children, but to a woman named Grace Palmer. The lawyer explained, Grace was your mother's caregiver for the last 14 years. She lived with Eleanor, took care of her health, managed the home, and even helped write this will. Linda's face flushed red. This is ridiculous. She tricked our mother. Martin stood up. We're contesting this. She's not family. But Joel said nothing. He had visited his mother more than the others. He remembered Grace, always calm, always gentle, never once asking for anything. That night, the siblings argued in Joel's kitchen. Linda shouted about fraud. Martin talked about lawyers. But Joel just stared out the window. She was alone, he finally said. And we left her with Grace because we didn't want to deal with the mess. And now we're angry that Grace didn't walk away when Mom gave her something in return. They didn't listen. Linda and Martin sued. Grace stayed quiet through it all. She didn't speak to reporters. Didn't defend herself on Facebook. Didn't show up to court except when required. She wore a simple dress, sat alone, and left without speaking. The legal fight lasted months. But the judge upheld the will. The evidence was clear. Eleanor was of sound mind when she signed it. There were videos, letters, even a handwritten diary where she explained her decision. In one entry she wrote, "My children are my blood. I love them. But Grace gave me her life, her time, her patience, her hands when I couldn't walk, her smile when I wanted to die. My money is not a reward. It's a thank you. I hope one day my children understand that wealth is not measured in dollars, but in days shared." Linda cut ties with Joel after that. Martin moved to Florida and stopped returning calls. But Joel did something unexpected. He called Grace. He apologized. He didn't ask for money. He didn't demand explanations. He just said, "I'm sorry we weren't there. And thank you for loving her when we didn't." Grace invited him for tea. What followed was a quiet friendship. Joel would bring his baby daughter to visit Grace once a week. Over time, she began telling stories of Eleanor, things Joel never knew. Her love for poetry, her habit of singing in the garden, how she cried every Christmas waiting for a call that never came. Joel listened, sometimes with tears, sometimes with shame. But with each story he found something else growing inside him. Years later, when Grace passed away, she left Joel's daughter a letter. "Your grandmother taught me how to be kind. Your father taught me how to forgive. I hope you learn both." Moral: true inheritance is not always measured in money. Sometimes the greatest legacy comes from those who gave the most when no one was watching, and the greatest gift is understanding what truly matters before it's too late.